This video will be about the goofy interpretation of Revelation 12 found in a 1917 um, Bible commentary from what it is now the Watchtower, the Jehovah Witnesses. Back then, they were referred to as the Bible Students or International Bible Students. This was back when Charles Taze Russell was in charge, and it's on Revelation 12. And the most goofy, or one of the most goofy things in this, is that the Pope is Michael, the Archangel. Now this was published in the finished mystery, and the link's right here. You can go to my blog; it's up here. This holy sword, and is written. It was published right after Charles Taze Russell died, like a year or two. But anyway, here it goes. Revelation 12:1, which says, "And there appeared a great wonder." He says, "Sign," and then he says, "A woman, the early church, Nominal Zion, originally a chaste virgin." And then verse 2, he says, "And she, being with child, as a result of the mystery of iniquity which was working within her." And then goes on and says, "And pain to be delivered, desire to get rid of the loathsome thing from which, by the machinations of Satan, she was at the time suffering." In a sense, the birth of the Antichrist from the early church was a counterfeit birth of Christ from the Virgin Mary, the one a manifestation of the power of God, the other of Satan. So far we see that the woman is the church, who is unchaste, or at least that's the impression it gives, and the child here is the mystery of iniquity, and a counterfeit of the virgin birth. In verse 5 of the commentary, we learn exactly who the child is. Verse 5, "And she brought forth a man-child, the papacy!" Yet despite bearing uh, this mystery of iniquity, Russell says, "And the woman, the true church." Now this is strange, since if the woman is the church, and the woman is no longer a virgin, and the child is the mystery of iniquity, who is the father? Is it Christ, or did she commit adultery or was raped? If the father is Christ, then why is the child the mystery of iniquity? If the woman committed adultery, why is she still called the true church? If raped, then why not mention it? Uh, when he said the birth in this chapter was a manifestation of the power of Satan, was he calling Satan the father of the child? Or perhaps we're expecting too much of Chaz Russell. So up here, we go back. It says, "Desire to get rid of this loathsome thing from which, by the machination of Satan, she was at the time suffering." So it kind of makes it sound like Satan's the father. What the heck? Um, even the next verse, the birth of Christ and the birth of, comparing it with the birth of the child here, even though nothing in Revelation 12 suggests that this is a wicked birth at all, or that this child is evil, or the papacy. So far we see the woman is the church, the child is the papacy, and the father is possibly Satan. Let's go on. The same verse where we left off last, verse 5, it says, talking about the woman, "She fled into the wilderness." Error. Always more popular than truth, one exalted to influence and power, hunted down, prescribed, and made disreputable the truth and all who held to it. This was the time when the true church woman fled into the wilderness in solitude, an outcast because of her fidelity to the truth and the true Lord and head of the church. Now this is goofy because why is she having Satan's child, or whoever this wicked mystery of iniquity is? Anyway, let's go on. Where she hath fled, to, where she hath a place prepared of God, secret places of the Most High, Revelation 91 or Psalm 91. That day, the antitypical raven that fed the Elijah class, the unknown faithful man who, in secret, broke the bread of life to those who hungered for righteousness. Then it goes on and says, "Should feed her there, as Elijah was fed in the wilderness, 1,260 days, 1,260 days, from AD 539 to 1799. So the true church is the woman, despite not being called a virgin and bearing a wicked child, and she is safe till 1799 in the wilderness, 1799 being the date the Jehovah Witnesses have now discarded. That used to be a very significant date alongside 1874, 1878 for the Jehovah Witnesses, but they pretty much destroyed those dates, barely making any reference to them on their websites now. The next section is by far the most interesting and absurd of the interpretations of Charles Taze Russell, at least in this chapter. Revelation 12, verse 7, and there was a war in heaven between, and then he says that is between the two ecclesiastical powers, pagan Rome and papal Rome. Then it goes on and says, Michael, who has as God the Pope. So the Pope is Michael, because Charles Taze Russell doesn't know that Michael is a question, not a statement, as you can see in my previous videos. So anyway, since he thinks the Pope thinks he is God or like God. And then it goes on and says, and his angels, the bishops. The following is the reply given in the Catholic Catechism to the question, who are the successors of the apostles? Answer, the bishops of who are rightly consecrated and are in communion with the head of the church, the Pope. I'm not really sure how that's exactly relevant, other than saying that the bishops are subject to the Pope. Anyway, he goes on to say, to war with the dragon, and attempted to get the temporal power away from the civil rulers. Then goes on to say, the dragon, imperial Rome, fought his angels, did everything possible to circumscribe the power of the growing power of the papacy, but all in vain. So, hilariously, the Jehovah Witnesses say that that Michael is the Pope and the angels are the bishops. So far, Russell has said the child is the papacy, and then says Michael is also the papacy. Nothing weird there. This is strange considering how the Watchtower today uses this verse to prove that Jesus and Michael are the same person. Perhaps, if you fit these all together, logically, Charles Taze Russell believes that Michael is the Pope and the Pope is Jesus. But anyway, that's insane. Some of the Jehovah's Witnesses today are trying to say, oh, we're trying to shy away from trying to explain every little detail in these verses and parables and whatnot. Some more ludicrous interpretation. Revelation 12:10, and I heard a loud voice saying in heaven, in the Roman Catholic Church. So in heaven means the Catholic Church. So far, the child, Michael, angels, and now heaven itself are all of the Catholic Church. Interesting. Also, how heaven changes within the chapter from one thing to another. You can go through there and check that out for yourself. I think he does so in verse, or maybe not. But anyway, you can go check it out for yourself. But that's how goofy Chucky is. Interestingly enough, if we were to go to the next chapter, which is not technically part of this video, but let's go over it anyway. Some more ludicrous interpretations. Revelation 13:7. Wait, no? No, I think this is the very last verse of Revelation 12, actually. And went to make war with the remnant of her seed. The true saints in the Roman Catholic Communion, or wherever otherwise found, always objects of hatred and oppression by ecclesiasticism. So, even the other seed of the woman are in the Roman Catholic Church, but they're the true seed. Well, what the heck? I wonder who their father is. Oh, this shouldn't be too big of a surprise, since many groups, despite being anti-Catholic, need to show how they've always been around. I've seen Adventists, Baptists, and other obscure groups try to tie themselves to the ancient church by claiming that they were hiding within the Catholic Church in the old days. If we continue on to the next chapter, he says the papacy, or the Catholic Church, is not only the child, Michael, and the angels, heaven, but also the beast of Revelation 13:1. To prove the Pope is the Antichrist, Russell repeatedly uses the anti-Catholic lie that the Pope is Vicarius Filii Dei, a term never used by the popes. The only time it can ever be found is in the donation of Constantine, which is fraud. And then it's just use of St. Peter himself. There is no evidence that was ever written in the papal tiara. So anyway, this is Berhane Selassie showing you how the Jehovah Witnesses have completely changed their interpretation of Revelation 12, where Michael was the Pope, the child is the Pope, in heaven it refers to the Catholic Church, and the beast is the Pope. Again, of course. So everything is the Pope. Anyway, later.